Bryan Kohberger's name sent shockwaves through the nation, but it was the surviving roommate whose shadow suddenly darkened the story when body cam footage surfaced suggesting her timeline might not match the truth. The case everyone thought was understood twisted into a mystery filled with unsettling new questions. Bryan Kohberger's name became the focal point of one of the most disturbing murder cases in recent memory. The college town where the tragedy took place had never seen violence on such a scale, and when news broke that investigators had a suspect in custody, many believed the nightmare was finally over. The story seemed straightforward. Police linked Kohberger to the crime through a mixture of forensic evidence, cell phone records, and the eerie fact that he had studied criminology. But the case took a strange turn when a piece of body cam footage surfaced, footage that had been recorded the very same night the murders took place. At first glance, the video appeared routine, showing officers responding to a late-night noise complaint not far from the victim's residence. However, what seemed like standard police work quickly became a point of obsession for true crime enthusiasts once they noticed a shadowy figure in the background. The figure, partially illuminated by the flashing police lights, moved with hesitation, as though unsure of where to go. The person stayed in the shadows, avoiding the direct beam of the camera, yet the outline of their body and their movements drew immediate attention. Online communities began to dissect the footage, replaying it over and over, freezing frames and enhancing images in an attempt to uncover the truth. Many believe the figure bore an uncanny resemblance to someone connected to the case, not a stranger, not a passerby, but one of the surviving roommates from the very house where the murders occurred. What made this discovery more unsettling was the timeline. According to official accounts, the roommate had claimed to be inside the house, largely unaware of what was happening during the crucial hours of the night. Yet if the body cam footage truly captured her image outside near the crime scene, her story no longer matched the evidence. This contradiction sparked widespread debate. Was it a coincidence? Just another college student walking home late at night? Or was this a sign that the official narrative left out important details? As speculation spread, the footage began to feel like more than just a blurry video. It became a puzzle piece that didn't fit, a haunting visual that cast doubt on what the world thought it knew. For many, this was the first indication that the case might not be as straightforward as it had been presented, and that some of the answers lay hidden not in court documents, but in the shadows caught by a police camera. When the body cam footage reached wider audiences, the focus shifted almost entirely to the surviving roommate. Her official statement described a night of confusion and fear, with muffled sounds in the house that she could not clearly identify. She said she returned to sleep, only realizing the horror hours later when the crime was discovered. For many, this explanation made sense. Shock and fear can cloud memory, and people react differently under pressure. But for others, the image of a figure outside the house in the middle of the night told a story that didn't match her words. The question was simple but chilling. If she was inside, then who did the footage capture lurking near the scene? Internet forums, podcasts, and amateur investigators poured over every frame. Some insisted the figure's hair and clothing resembled the roommate. Others argued the body shape was unmistakable. The debate quickly moved beyond curiosity and grew into heated discussions about whether her account could be trusted. This sudden wave of scrutiny placed her at the center of a storm she likely never expected. While she was officially treated as a survivor, the video raised doubts about her timeline, and the inconsistencies began to unravel trust in the investigation itself. Speculation grew more elaborate as theories took shape. Some believed she might have seen something but kept quiet out of fear of retaliation. Others whispered about the possibility of her being directly involved, though there was no hard evidence to support such a claim. Still, the footage had cracked open a door that could not easily be closed. Every detail, from the way the figure moved to the slight turn of their head, became evidence in the eyes of online detectives. The most troubling part was how the footage seemed to exist in isolation, never directly acknowledged by authorities. That silence only fueled suspicion. Was it a simple oversight, or had investigators intentionally chosen not to emphasize it because it complicated their narrative? Either way, the omission left a vacuum that the public was eager to fill with its own theories. As the video spread further, the roommate's once clear role as a bystander blurred into something far more ambiguous. People who had once sympathized with her now questioned whether she had withheld the full truth, willingly or not. The body cam footage had turned her from a witness into a mystery, and the contradictions surrounding her story deepened the unsettling sense that the night's events were far more complex than anyone had been led to believe. Digital investigators began enhancing the body cam footage frame by frame, determined to extract every possible detail. What was once a blurry silhouette soon revealed sharper edges. A faint pattern on the jacket worn by the figure became visible, and it closely resembled one seen in photographs of the surviving roommate taken just days before the murders. To some, this was undeniable proof that she had been outside that night. Others argued it was a coincidence, that the jacket was common, and the footage too grainy to draw such a serious conclusion. But as more people scrutinized the video, the possibility of her presence outside the house could no longer be dismissed so easily. The footage also revealed something far more disturbing than the jacket. Just seconds after the first figure appeared, another shadowy figure could be seen moving quickly in the opposite direction, almost as if trying to avoid the camera's view. The second figure was harder to identify, blurred by distance and darkness, but its presence introduced a chilling new element to the timeline. If there were two people outside near the crime scene that night, then the events were more layered than the official story suggested. True crime communities immediately seized on this discovery, spinning theories about who the second figure could be. Was it Bryan Kohberger himself caught unknowingly on video before returning to the scene of the crime? Or was it someone else entirely, an unknown witness whose silence left investigators without a key piece of the puzzle? Some even argued the two figures appeared to move in relation to each other, as if one was following the other through the shadows. What unsettled the public most was the fact that the footage, despite holding such provocative clues, remained absent from official narratives. Investigators seemed unwilling to connect the dots or even acknowledge the second figure at all. This silence only amplified suspicion. Why would authorities ignore evidence that could potentially alter the understanding of the night's events? Was it incompetence, or was something being deliberately concealed? As the enhanced footage spread across online platforms, it became impossible for viewers to see the crime as a simple, one-person act. Instead, the grainy video planted the seed of doubt that multiple people may have been present, and that the surviving roommate's story was not just incomplete, it may have been hiding a truth too dangerous to reveal. As the enhanced footage gained traction, whispers of withheld evidence began to ripple through online spaces. People questioned how something so potentially significant had been overlooked or ignored by the investigation. For those already skeptical of the official narrative, the silence surrounding the footage felt deliberate, almost like a choice to steer the story in one direction rather than entertain alternative explanations. If the roommate truly appeared outside, then her testimony had a glaring inconsistency, and if there was a second figure, then the crime scene was more complicated than anyone had been told. The absence of answers only deepened suspicions. Conversations soon turned toward the possibility of suppression. Some argued that authorities might have known the footage existed, but decided it was too disruptive to present. A case like this needed clarity to move forward, not uncertainty. Introducing questions about a roommate's involvement could create chaos, confuse jurors, and potentially weaken the prosecution against Bryan Kohberger. Others believed the police simply chose the easiest path, focus entirely on one suspect while minimizing distractions that could undermine the case. To them, the body cam footage represented a loose thread, one that, if pulled, could unravel the entire investigation. The roommate's story became even more scrutinized as people revisited her statements. She said she stayed in her room during the night, frightened and uncertain of the sounds she heard, but if the footage placed her outside, then either her memory was flawed or she had chosen not to disclose the truth. Some speculated she may have seen something she was too terrified to admit. Others went further, entertaining the darker theory that her connection to the events was more direct than anyone imagined. These theories lacked proof, but the footage created enough doubt to keep them alive. Each frame of the video turned into evidence for one camp or another. The light, the shadows, the faint details all were dissected endlessly. Theories spread faster than facts, and soon the line between speculation and reality blurred. Yet through it all, the most disturbing element remained: the silence of officials. Their refusal to directly address the contradictions made the footage feel less like a minor oversight and more like a secret buried under layers of legal strategy. The uncertainty surrounding that night refused to fade, leaving the sense that what happened inside the house was far more tangled than the world had been told. The body cam footage remains one of the most haunting elements tied to the case, a fragment of video that refuses to settle into a clear explanation. For some, it is little more than a coincidence. A late-night passerby whose resemblance to the surviving roommate has been exaggerated by speculation and grainy visuals. For others, it is a crack in the foundation of the official story, a sign that what unfolded that night may be more layered and troubling than authorities have admitted. Regardless of interpretation, the footage has carved its place as one of the most hotly debated mysteries connected to Bryan Kohberger's alleged crimes. As the trial looms, the unanswered questions continue to linger in the background. If the roommate truly appeared outside, why did her account omit such a critical detail? If the second shadow in the video belonged to another person, who were they, and why has no trace of their presence emerged in police reports? These questions create gaps in the narrative that no court document or official press release has been able to fill. Instead, the public is left with speculation, theories, and the eerie unease of uncertainty. Some see the footage as evidence of investigative tunnel vision, a warning of what happens when authorities become too focused on a single suspect. By building their case entirely around Kohberger, perhaps they ignored pieces that didn't fit neatly into their theory of the crime. Others interpret the silence differently, imagining that investigators know more than they have revealed, and that the truth is being held back for reasons not yet understood. Each possibility is unsettling in its own way, and both add to the weight of suspicion hanging over the case. For the surviving roommate, the footage transformed her role from a background figure into a lightning rod of controversy. Whether guilty of omission or simply a victim of circumstance, her story has been overshadowed by doubt. The public has begun to question whether she is a key to unlocking the full truth or an unfortunate bystander caught in the harsh glare of speculation. Until definitive answers emerge, the body cam video remains an artifact of mystery, a piece of evidence that feels almost spectral, visible yet untouchable. It continues to fuel theories that the night's events were never fully revealed, leaving the chilling possibility that parts of the story remain hidden in silence, waiting for the day they can no longer be ignored.